Hello friends, and welcome back to Strange. This video is going to be a deep dive into the reality shifting community. If you spend too much time on the internet, you might already have somewhat of an idea of what reality shifting is, based on a few widely ridiculed TikToks of teenagers crying because they shifted to the Hogwarts dimension for what they perceived to be years, only to wake up in their boring lives again. Or perhaps our beloved YouTube algorithm has fed you some videos of adult YouTubers going, "Oh, the children. I make videos cringing about their TikToks because I just worry about the mental health of these poor lost youths." I'm 26, by the way. On this channel, I have addressed Snape wives, Hobbit channeling, the Slender Man stabbings, the funky places where fandom becomes spirituality, fiction becomes reality, are slowly becoming like a thing for me. Let's start with the basics. What is reality shifting? But before we delve any deeper into this, I need to tell you a little bit about this video sponsor, Helix. Helix Sleep makes premium mattresses customized to fit your unique needs and shipped straight to your door. Everyone's different, everyone sleeps differently, which is why Helix's sleep quiz matches you to the perfect mattress based on your body type and sleep preferences. If you sleep with a partner, you can even take the sleep quiz together and find something that's the perfect compromise for both of you. Based on my quiz results, Helix matched me with their Twilight Luxe mattress, which is their firmest mattress. I do require a firm mattress, as there are scoliosis demons which live in my spine. It is very easy for me to mess up my day by sleeping wrong. I've had my Helix mattress for about 1.5 years now, and I've been sleeping great. I love it so much. It is definitely better for my back than the mattress I had previously. I have been sleeping great on my Helix Twilight Luxe, and so have my 2 beautiful rat children. That's the true test, okay? Those cats sleep in the bed with us every single night, and they sleep in the bed for quite a bit of the day as well. The Helix Twilight Luxe is highly endorsed by Binguses. You can even personalize your mattress even more by adding the Glaciotex cooling cover, which helps keep you cool and comfortable while you sleep. This year, Helix launched Helix Elite mattresses, their most high-end collection yet. They've put their many, many years of mattress expertise towards creating an even more elevated experience. If it makes you nervous to buy a mattress you haven't tried out yet, don't worry, because with Helix, you get a 100-night sleep trial. You can sleep on this baby for 100 nights before you decide if you really love it. It also comes with a 10-year warranty. There are flexible payment plans and financing options. And the best part about all of this is, of course, that Helix delivers your mattress straight to your door, and shipping is free within the US. It comes rolled up in a box and then expands once you free it from its cardboard prison. It's super easy to set up yourself. Just make sure you read the instructions before you try it. Do as I say, not as I do, kids. I love my Helix mattress, so if you're in the market for a new bed, make sure you head on over to helix.com/strangeeons or scan the QR code on screen. You'll get 20% off your Helix mattress, plus 2 free pillows. And now, back to your regularly scheduled content. This thing is big. We're talking in the billions of views associated with reality shifting content. The vast majority of shifters, as they call themselves, are teenage girls and women in their early 20s. The whole idea of it relies on multiverse theory. Every possible action that you could make in your life, or that any human could make in their life, represents another reality that exists. Therefore, there are infinite realities splintering off forever. If there are infinity versions of you in parallel universes, then there is a version of you who is exactly the same as you, except they had a burrito for dinner instead of a bowl of soup. And there is a version of you who goes to Hogwarts and dates Draco Malfoy. If infinity things, if everything is possible, then that's possible. And through certain mental techniques, you can shift your conscious mind into other versions of yourself, including the one who is dating Draco Malfoy. I mean, you could do, any of the other ones. Maybe you really want to eat a burrito, that's fair too. But most people, yeah, it's Draco Malfoy. So within the reality shifting community, we have these ideas like multiverse theory and altered states of consciousness and meditation, which seem very aligned with like almost new age spirituality. But the application of these ideas is then for fandom shenanigans, especially the Harry Potter fandom. Like, I think people have a very good idea of what the Harry Potter universe looks and feels like thanks to the movies. It's a series that's very comforting and nostalgic for a lot of people. So Of course they want to go to Hogwarts. And now, through reality shifting, thousands of young women are claiming to be living alternate lives at Hogwarts while they sleep, or lives in universes from all kinds of other fandoms. Fictional universes are by far the most popular ones to shift to, although, like I said, you could theoretically shift to an alternate version of this world, or a similar universe to this world, and be BFFs with your favorite celebrities, or a slightly altered version of your own life. What I am telling you is that the power to transport your mind to other universes apparently exists. Tens of thousands of people are testifying to this being real. And this ability is essentially being used to make self-insert fanfiction on TikTok. Do you see why I am intrigued by this? So, how does reality shifting work? There are probably hundreds of reality shifting methods. They're called methods, posted online. They all generally involve some kind of meditation, concentration, counting, visualization, reciting affirmations, perhaps listening to subliminals or binaural beats, or music that evokes the universe that you're trying to reality shift to. The vast majority of shifting techniques take place at night, when you are in bed. Some even rely on your fatigue or sleep deprivation to work. A person's current reality is referred to as such, often abbreviated simply to CR. The reality that they want to shift to is referred to as their desired reality, or DR. Most shifters also like to script their desired reality. It is not necessary, but many people recommend it. Essentially, you write down some basic facts, what you look like in your desired reality, what your day-to-day life is, what your relationship is to all of the characters. It's, you know, it's like you're creating your... Hi, my name is Ebony Darkness Dementia Ravenway. You're writing your self-insert fanfiction. Although scripting is not like fanfiction. You're not inventing your desired reality because every possible universe already exists. So no matter what you describe, it's describing something that exists out there in the multiverse. Shifters also warn that you can't expect to script every little detail that happens to you in a day like you can if you're writing a fanfiction, because you're shifting to a different reality. It is... What you are experiencing is real, and therefore it is going to be just as unpredictable as your day-to-day life in this reality. Therefore, you can only script the basic facts. A lot of people also recommend that you script that you will be safe in your desired reality, that you cannot be killed or have a very high pain tolerance or that kind of thing. Because, you know, maybe right now it sounds fun to go through all of this epic fantasy stuff from your favorite books, but if you have to fight in a war, you will get traumatized, idiot. So, generally, shifters don't recommend creating a traumatic desired reality. Shifters are always warning people interested in trying it out that shifting is not something to be taken lightly. Alternate realities are not your consequence-free sandbox to do whatever you want. If you're an asshole, you might hurt people. If you kill people, they die. If you and Snape get married and you don't take that commitment seriously, you and Snape might end up bitterly divorced, and then you're never going to want to return to that desired reality. Time ratios. It is generally agreed upon that more time will pass in your desired reality compared to when you are asleep in your current reality. Some people say you can script what time ratio you want. So for example, 1 hour that you are asleep in your current reality equals 1 day in your desired reality. A concept which I've noticed is just a tad controversial in reality shifting communities is clones. Reality shifting lore starts to break down quite a bit when you start getting into clones. Some people simply do not believe in clones. They believe that when you are shifting, you will always appear asleep in your current reality. Some people say no, you can create a clone who will essentially take control of your body and keep up appearances in your current reality while your consciousness has shifted to your desired reality. And likewise, you can create a clone that will carry on your life in your desired reality while you're awake in your current reality. One shifter wrote on Reddit in 2020, "Why are you all so scared of clones? Listen, your clone is you. I remember everything my clone did while I was in my DR, but it feels more like an out-of-body experience. Kind of like, you know how at sleepovers you brush your teeth in the bathroom with your friend before bed? You didn't brush your friend's teeth, but you know they did because you were there. Although mental me wasn't physically brushing my teeth, I know that I brushed my teeth. I remember it happening. I remember attending my uni lecture today, even though I was at Hogwarts, which is further proved by the notes in my handwriting." Like I said, some people think this is not how shifting works at all, that you will simply always appear asleep when you're shifting. And if they do believe in awake shifting, it's generally considered to be very high level shifting. The impression that I've got overall, what really strikes me is that for a concept so earth-shattering, reality shifting it's all quite simple. The rules of it are quite simple until you start getting into clones. But other than that, sure, I can lay face down and count to 100. I can listen to this binaural audio video off of YouTube. I can make sure to write down that I won't get stabbed before I do it. People generally say that as long as you have the right mindset for it and your intentions are good and you truly want it, that shifting is easy. You can do it on your first try. You can even do it accidentally. This recent post by a shifter recounts how their mom has been accidentally shifting to a reality where she owns her dream beach house. Despite many people describing it as so simple, there are equally a lot of posts by people talking about how they want to shift so bad and they try every night and they've tried every method and it just doesn't work for them. Others describe something called mini shifting, where they'll wake up in their desired reality for only a few seconds, but it never seems to go beyond that. Reality shifting is portrayed as like a fun, easy thing to do on a whim by some people, but as really agonizing and heartbreaking by others who can't seem to manage it, but who are inundated by success stories online. And that's the thing, there are so many. There are so many stories. There are really serious shifters out there, people who claim that they have spent years in alternate universes. And I have listened to so many of them speak and write so earnestly about their experiences. And it's kind of boggling my mind because, like, just come here. Reality shifting isn't real, right? And yet thousands upon thousands of people believe that it is and that they have personally done it. And these experiences have deeply emotionally affected them. And mostly in positive ways, because obviously they get to fucking go to Hogwarts. But others report that there can be some negative side effects to shifting. Dissociation while awake in the current reality, depression, dissatisfaction with your current reality, and insomnia generally are the ones that people will name. So I've just told you what reality shifting is. And that leaves us with the question, okay, so what is reality shifting? Personally, I think it's three things. It is some kind of a mental experience. I think the sheer volume of people who speak so earnestly about this says that there is something going on in these people's brains, you know, and I've done my research into that, and I'm going to tell you the potential science behind it. Two, I think that reality shifting is a genre of fanfiction. A genre of fanfiction uniquely suited to the medium that popularized it, which is TikTok. Thirdly, I think that reality shifting is a spiritual practice with traceable roots into the 20th century New Age movement and beyond. Altered states of consciousness, visions, have been reported for thousands of years. For whatever reason, they do happen. Sometimes it's mold poisoning. Okay? Don't accept rye bread from strangers, kids. In 2021, Eli Somer published the first academic paper to mention reality shifting, psychological features of an emergent online daydreaming culture, basically comparing reality shifting to other very well-documented phenomenon, namely lucid dreaming, self-hypnosis, and maladaptive daydreaming, and expressing his interest to study it further. Shifting still has yet to be fully studied. However, I do agree it bears a lot of similarities to the practices that Somer outlines in his paper. So, in this segment of the video, I will also be comparing shifting to lucid dreaming, self-hypnosis, and maladaptive daydreaming, using Somer's paper, as well as some other sources that I've identified. The YouTube channel Explore Lucid Dreaming is dedicated to, you guessed it, exploring lucid dreaming. In his video, I tried reality shifting for 7 days. He tried out a different shifting method every single night for 7 days. He failed to shift, but he did discover that a lot of these methods were successful at inducing lucid dreaming, because they're actually very similar to a lot of lucid dreaming methods that he's familiar with. He experienced some tingles and feelings of weightlessness similar to what other shifters report. Ultimately, he came to the conclusion that all of the goals of reality shifting were achievable through lucid dreaming, and that many of the people who are seriously convinced that they have shifted realities have probably just had a lucid dream. And this is actually a very popular conclusion to come to. I think most curious skeptics who look into reality shifting come out of it believing that shifting is just lucid dreaming. One of the most popular videos on the topic of shifting is, of course, the Anthony Padilla I Spend Today with Reality Shifters video. It features this guy who is a lucid dreamer, something of a professional lucid dreamer actually. He's selling a course about it, because of course he is. And he shows up to the Anthony Padilla video like, yeah, I guess reality shifting's like what the kids are calling it these days, but it's all the same thing. It's all just lucid dreaming. Which is, in my opinion, interesting. An interesting choice on the part of Anthony's research team, because it takes all of about 5 minutes to discover that most shifters passionately insist that it is not the same as lucid dreaming. Anthony briefly acknowledges this. He pulls up this post that some shifter online has written about how shifting and lucid dreaming are totally not the same thing. And one of the other shifters that he's interviewing agrees with that, but he makes it out like it's just this one crazy post. He calls it gatekeeping. And I need to stress that, like, this is the overwhelming opinion that I have come across. In reality shifting communities, I have not come across a single shifter who has said, oh yeah, it's the same as lucid dreaming. Like, that's not what they believe. It feels to me like this man was deliberately included in the video to, like, prove that shifters are not exclusively young women, which they are. They pretty much are exclusively young women. And I don't know, this kind of just says something not great about the perceived credibility of young women. Reality shifting is, like, totally just lucid dreaming, and also adult men do it too, so you can respect it. Let's all hug each other, because this is an Anthony Padilla video or whatever. In the name of trying to hear out reality shifters, hear out what they actually believe. They believe that it's not lucid dreaming. In a lucid dream, you can create anything that you want. It's a world in your mind that you've created that you have complete control over. You can do anything you want. Whereas with shifting, it is believed that the worlds you are entering are real and they're pre-existing worlds. There are methods of making yourself aware that you are dreaming. So like generally trying to read a clock or like trying to read words, like trying to tell time or trying to read, you generally can't do that in a dream. So those are considered ways of like making yourself aware of a dream or waking yourself up. Those kind of dream checking methods will not work when you have shifted because, again, not a dream. There is a moral difference too. In a lucid dream, you can go around and stab people all you want because they're not real. Whereas shifting, you kill people, they die morally bad, etc. However, many shifters do acknowledge that shifting and lucid dreaming can be related. Lucid dreaming is actually one popularly acknowledged method of reality shifting. So if you lucid dream first, you can then, in the dream, create a door, and then you go through the door to your desired reality. Hypnosis, specifically self-hypnosis, works similarly to reality shifting in that it involves kind of meditating and clearing your mind and reciting affirmations, that kind of thing, to make yourself suggestible. The idea of scripting a safe word that will immediately bring you back to your current reality is also very reminiscent of hypnosis. So are some of the physical symptoms associated with it, like tinglings and feelings of lightness. Somer also notes that there's huge variation among individuals with regards to how hypnotically suggestible they are. For some people, it's very easy to achieve hypnosis, whereas for others, it's very, very difficult. That also sounds reminiscent of shifting. He identifies 3 characteristics which make people more hypnotically suggestible. Absorption, essentially ability to become absorbed in a task or an idea or very focused. Dissociation and fantasy proneness. He suggests that these characteristics might also be relevant to people who have better shifting results. Also on the topic of hypnosis, I suppose we have to talk about the gateway process document. This thing has been widely used as proof that reality shifting is real, and the government knows about it. People who say that do not know how to read, or at the very least have not read this particular document. It's this declassified document which describes an experiment that the CIA did on self-hypnosis, the goal of which was to produce out-of-body experiences like astral projecting. And the reason that the CIA wanted to know if astral projection was possible was, of course, to use it for espionage purposes. Did they succeed? No-ish? I mean, like, nothing on the scale of, like, projecting their minds to the Russian military bases. They did succeed at achieving, like, some kind of out-of-body experiences using self-hypnosis through a combination of meditation and binaural audio. The Gateway Process document and other writings on self-hypnosis and meditation very much support the idea that these things are not easy. Getting yourself to the point that you feel like you have left your physical body is very, very difficult to achieve. It takes an incredible amount of discipline and training to achieve even lukewarm results at something like this, which is of course totally at odds with the philosophy of shifting, which says that this is a super easy and fun thing to do and you've maybe even already been doing it by accident. The experiences that people refer to as reality shifting, there's probably a variety of things that fall under the umbrella of what is called reality shifting with the kids these days. Some people are natural lucid dreamers, and maybe that's what shifting is to them, and it genuinely is very easy. Some people try and fail for months, and maybe for them it is more of a learned skill, something more akin to meditation or self-hypnosis. I don't know. I'm just pondering. That's honestly a pretty good summary for this entire channel. I don't fucking know. I'm just pondering. This brings us to our final scientifically documented cousin of reality shifting. Immersive daydreaming / maladaptive daydreaming. Somer defines immersive daydreaming as intense absorption in rewarding imagination content that involves a strong sense of presence and is associated with kinesthesia and exposure to evocative music. Maladaptive daydreaming is then the pathological version of immersive daydreaming. The imaginary world, the paracosm, vocabulary word for you, becomes so important that it begins interfering with a person's day-to-day life and ability to socialize. Somer actually coined the term maladaptive daydreaming in 2002. He and many other scientists have researched it since then, and I could sit here and quote you all of their papers about it as a way of teaching you what it is, but I actually don't need to do that, and that is because I was a maladaptive daydreamer. I mean, I still am an immersive daydreamer. That's just a tendency of my brain that will always be there,
but I would say I mostly left the maladaptive part of it in my childhood. There was a minute there during the pandemic, though, not gonna lie.
The reason that I'm telling you this is because I think a lot of people have a tendency to believe, or people have a tendency to think, oh, of course, people can tell the difference between just creating a story in their head and actually entering another reality. Personally, I think no, there is not always a clear line. Having an extremely creative imagination often makes that creativity feel involuntary. You can get completely absorbed in ideas and scenes and have these things playing out in your head and just completely dissociate from real life. And I know that because I did it every day, constantly, in every single class in high school, except for math, because I'm terrible at math and I actually had to force myself to pay attention in math. And it was excruciating. It was nearly impossible for me to force myself to focus for a whole 90-minute class on something that wasn't my elaborate brain world. I very rarely felt in control of what was happening in my brain and the degree to which I was immersed in it. So I think if, were I 5 to 10 years younger and had I stumbled across such an amazing, supportive, and large internet community as reality shifting, sure, I probably easily could have been convinced that that's what it was. Actually, the Reddit post that I read you at the beginning of this video about clones, about shifting while awake and having a clone carry on your life, honestly, that's kind of what it felt like.
Yeah, guys, that's gotta be my favorite mountain album right there. It's just so good. Like,
I would also compare it to like when you're reading a really good book and you're seeing this story play out in your head and you're immersed in it and you completely tune out the real world and sometimes hours pass and you don't even notice. It was like that, except there was no book that I was reading. My brain was just doing this and it was fun. Honestly, it was fun. It was the best fucking thing ever. Like, just imagine the coolest, greatest book you've ever read with all of the stuff you love 24/7. I will not pretend that it wasn't really fucking fun. I would say that I lived like that from around age 13 to 16. And of course I preferred it to real life. Obviously I preferred it to real life. And so I think I kind of get how shifters feel. Like, yeah, it's absolutely devastating to care more about a fictional universe than your own life and to just want out all the time. And if you call it reality shifting and call the characters in your head real, then maybe you can pretend that it's less lonely than it is, because it is. It's fun, and then it's crushingly lonely. I think I completely lost the ability to connect with other people, except for a handful of friends that I'd had since middle school. So there's that. Welcome to Fun Facts About Strange Hour. Ultimately, in his paper, Somer puts the emerging phenomenon that is reality shifting under the category of immersive daydreaming. So the same category as maladaptive daydreaming. But he says it's too early to classify reality shifting as normal or abnormal, healthy or unhealthy behavior. He thinks it's probably normal and healthy because people report largely positive emotions associated with it. That's the thing. It's a coping mechanism. And coping with things sucking is good, but any coping mechanism can be taken to a dangerous extreme. And so that's something to watch out for with reality shifting, with immersive daydreaming, with anything really. It is, in my opinion, no coincidence that reality shifting rose to popularity when things sucked. Google Trends shows a massive spike in interest in reality shifting around 6 months into the 2020 pandemic. Shifting took off when young people were at their loneliest. It's still around today. There are absolutely still active shifting communities today, but not on the scale they were during the lockdowns. There are definitely a lot of people who lived and breathed shifting during the pandemic, but who are no longer interested in it. And that feels very in line with my own personal experience, being a pretty extreme maladaptive daydreamer as a teenager, and then having that kind of decline as I grew into adult life. When you are bored and unhappy all of the time, the coping mechanism is very active. When things suck less, etc. But that's just my experience and my speculation. I was never a shifter. I'm old. However, that is why this week I'm meeting up with the shifter, who I think can help me work some of this out. And it's kind of weird how things turn out, but she might look a little familiar to you.
Kristin.
hi.
Thank you so much for coming on here and teaching me about the world of reality shifting.
Hello?
Is it working now?
Yeah, I literally just have to twist the battery thing.
I mean, also same, I do have scoliosis too.
Oh, really?
So yeah,
oh my god.
twinsies. Nefarious business.
Welcome to the Nefarious Business Podcast.
You told me you kind of resonate with the idea of shifting being really popular during the pandemic.
For that period between 2020 and like the end of 2021 into 2022, I was just like in the shifting hole, and I was in the trenches. The last time I actively shifted was around like the beginning of last year, and the reason for that is just because it's not like my beliefs have changed. I 100% still a shifter. I just don't actively shift anymore because I prefer to kind of focus on the stuff that's happening in this reality. I consider it like a skill, like riding a bike, learning a language. Back in 2020, when I initially made my videos, a lot of people were like, oh yeah, shifting is as easy as breathing. That's not how it went for me. I had to try. I had to actively continue to like build my skill set until I was actually able to shift, and it took me months. I have done astral projection, I've done lucid dreaming, and I've done shifting. And the main like misconception of shifting is that it is lucid dreaming. And as someone who I've done lucid dreaming quite a lot, it is nothing like lucid dreaming. But when you're shifting, it's literally your consciousness is here. Like right now, how I'm here, I'm visualizing everything. My 5 senses are working. It's the same exact thing. I can feel the breeze on me. There was one reality I went to where it was just permanently like summer perfect weather every single day. And I would just sit outside and I'd feel the breeze on me. I would think thoughts. And that when I say think thoughts, I literally mean like I have monologues and dialogues going on in my head like I usually do, in this reality. When I'm lucid dreaming, I don't think to that sort of degree, like that deeper level. It's not really possible because you're gonna just wake up.
So the first time we met up, like I had my opinions about the Anthony Padilla video already, but I didn't want to like put words in your mouth or suggest anything really. So I kind of was just like, how did you feel about that experience a little bit? And if you had said, great, it was great, I would have said, okay, great. But you did not say great. I think that video was very much pushing the idea that shifting is lucid dreaming.
A lot of the questions that I was asked, it kind of did revolve around lucid dreaming. And I kept, saying, hey, it's not lucid dreaming, it's different. And just having a literal lucid dreamer
so
there.
You did say, because I don't think you said that in the video, in the final video that I've watched like 3 times now.
They asked me.
They cut that out of the video.
They most likely did. They cut out, a lot of the stuff I said didn't make it to the final cut, but there were a couple things that I was like, make sure I add this in, but you know how they edit things, so.
Yes, I know how they edit things.
Everyone was freaking out about who are the people that he chose, etc. And I didn't say a damn thing because I was like, these people are ready to blow up. I'm not gonna say anything because they're scared. And you know what? They were valid for their reactions.
I think on YouTube specifically, like there was a small, I don't like to throw this term around, but there was a small moral panic about shifting on YouTube at one point. There was a lot of people that made these extremely negative videos about it.
I want to talk about actually those YouTubers because during like 2020, 2021, even almost into 2022, I would have my subscribers, my villagers, they would be sending me links. I would get like so many videos. They're like, they're using your video here and they're making fun of you. I noticed that in a lot of these videos, they didn't really have any substantial arguments. It was just, you guys are stupid for believing in this. Every time a new video, like I know the Odd Ones Out, he made a video about shifting too. And it was literally the same thing. Oh, these people are mentally ill.
It was garbage,
It was awful. And so every time a new creator put something out, I would get a flood of hate comments and I'd be like, okay, so which person
Who did it this time?
Which one is it?
You better be nice.
We're watching you.
Better fucking be nice. So, what have we learned so far? What reality shifting is. If the question of this video is what is reality shifting? Reality shifting is this. It is a viral trend, and in my opinion, it is a genre of self-insert fanfiction. Marshall McLuhan, the medium is the message, okay? This is what they teach you on day 1 of media school. In this case, what I mean is the website, the app, is going to affect the sort of content that is posted on it and that is successful on it. If you want to read a 600,000 word epic, you're going to read it on AO3, or before that you would have read that on fanfiction.net. If you're looking for trashy RPF, you're gonna go to Wattpad. Quizilla and Quotev gave rise to Quizfix, like the ones that I just did in my last video. On YouTube, you had AMVs. On Instagram, you have fan cams, which are much shorter and more heavily filtered. TikTok is a new medium which comes with new ways of storytelling. TikTok is, of course, short-form video-based. But more than that, it's also incredibly personal. Like, it wants your face and your personality. Isn't that like cooking TikToks always have like those really cringy shots of them like eating the food and smiling like they're gonna kill you? Like, the algorithm wants your personal identity involved. So yes, while researching this video, I did get very carried away by like how reality shifting works as like a mental process and what it is in that sense. But the other side of the story is, how does it function? Like, what is it achieving? Like, how does it work as a social phenomenon? Why is it popular? I think it's kind of the perfect fanfiction genre for TikTok. The type of fanfiction that has been successful on other sites is not going to be successful on TikTok. That isn't what TikTok is for. What does work extremely well on TikTok is short form videos, you talking, saying, hey, this is what me and my boyfriend Draco ate for breakfast this morning in the Great Hall, or like, 3 things never to say in Snape's class. There is a very simple genre convention here. There is a multiverse. You can shift to any desired reality that you would like. You will come out of it with all of these amazing stories about your favorite characters that you can then tell online. Most shifters on TikTok, I think the majority of people who make up this trend, are responsible for the popularity of this trend, are just writing fanfiction. Self-hypnosis and altered states through meditation are possible, but they are very difficult. Realistically, most of the people posting reality shifting TikToks are just participating in a very popular trend for views, or to be part of a community, or just to see what happens if they ride the viral meme. People want to feel part of something bigger and meaningful. I think that most of the people who are creating and consuming reality shifting TikToks don't literally believe that shifting realities is possible. It's just this agreed upon narrative, this agreed upon genre convention to facilitate this extremely popular genre of TikTok fanfiction.
What are some of the crazier, like, faked TikTok stories you've seen out there that you believe are obviously fake and that most people seriously into shifting would say are probably fake?
Okay, so this is like a very popular one that people were using during 2020 that I even addressed on the Anthony Padilla show.
Yeah.
And that was
the Hermione twerking.
Hermione twerking, yeah. I was like, this doesn't make any sense, because yes, there is a reality where Hermione does do that sort of stuff. But if you're going, if the reality that you're choosing to go to, the only addition is yourself existing in that reality, the characters that are now people in those realities, they're not going to substantially change to something that they're not.
Yeah, unless you're specifically looking for that.
Unless you're specifically looking for that. Hermione was twerking on the desk. Ron was like smoking a line. Like, it makes no sense.
The explosion of reality shifting TikTok definitely created a rift between people who literally believed it and people who didn't. Many shifters who are trying to be a serious source of information on shifting will tell you that TikTok is horrible. Do not go to TikTok. You will not get any real useful information about shifting from TikTok. It's cluttered with fakers and trolls. When interest in reality shifting peaked, a lot of it was ironic, and thus people who seriously believed in it, considered it to be something very real and very meaningful, generally took a step back from TikTok. While I do think that my theory that reality shifting is a fanfiction genre is correct, and for a lot of people it doesn't go any deeper than that, for a lot of other people, it does go very deep. And some of the beliefs involved, you know, the multiverse, alternate realities, altered states of consciousness, meditation, these things are almost reminiscent of like New Age spirituality. And we know, we here on Strange, we know that it is not unheard of for things to cross a line from fandom into spirituality. You might be sitting there thinking, what are you about to suggest here, Strange? Reality shifting is a religion? No, it isn't. To which I say, have you been watching my channel or no? There are a number of reasons why people might not take new internet-based religions or religions that incorporate elements of pop culture seriously. A real powerful mythology that people believe in is supposed to arise kind of mysteriously over hundreds of years. Stories are passed down for generations, such that they feel like they've always been a part of the community that created them. Nobody remembers how it evolved or who told the first version of it. That's the only way to create genuine belief, right? Right? No, it is being demonstrated time and time again that pop culture is fertile ground for belief, for identity formation and community formation, and that the internet is a valid space for all of this stuff to take place. The idea that modern inventions like TikTok and Harry Potter cannot be conducive to real religious belief is in line with something called disenchantment theory, or the theory of the disenchantment of the world, coined by German sociologist Max Weber around the turn of the 20th century. Essentially, the world was becoming increasingly rational and technologically advanced. He and many of his contemporaries thought that humanity would just continue getting more and more scientific and rational, and technology would keep developing until religion and spiritual belief eventually became obsolete. The relentless flow of progress would eventually lead to us discovering truth and moral perfection. That did not happen. Very clearly, that did not happen. In his 2 books regarding what he calls the Re-Enchantment of the West, Christopher Partridge refutes the idea of disenchantment and the idea that technology is somehow secular, saying, "Can one not faithfully reproduce sacred words on a website? Why is one artifact less sacred than the other? Am I missing something here? Or is parchment really more sacred than a monitor? A quill more sacred than a keyboard? A candle more sacred than an electric light?" Total disenchantment, as Weber predicted, was probably never going to happen because humans are humans and will always find a way to make things sacred. But then the internet came along. And the internet specifically seems to have kind of turbocharged our direction away from rationality and into chaos again. We do not live in a world that seems increasingly scientific and rational.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
The word occult means hidden, some kind of hidden or secret knowledge. Eric Davis, in his book TechGnosis, Myth, Magic, and Mysticism in the Age of Information, describes modern technology as literally occult. And this, exploded my brain. Because it's true, most of us do not build technology. We do not understand the workings of the technology that control our lives. Every sci-fi enjoyer knows, okay? Arthur C. Clarke said, "Sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic." That doesn't have to be about flying cars or time travel. The workings of the TikTok algorithm or the YouTube algorithm may as well be magic to a lot of us. The internet is increasingly this soupy and insane and unknowable and alive thing. It is this almost mystical, occult place. It's the perfect space for new spiritual belief to take hold, okay? Let me explain. In the 1430s, Johannes Gutenberg invented the printing press. And you know what he printed with that thing? Bibles. Suddenly, lots of people had Bibles. They didn't have to wait months for a monk to write the Bible for them by hand and then have it bound, and of course pay a very high price for all of that time and labor. You could print Bibles, and the average middle-class family could own their own Bible. They could be the arbiter of their own religious life. They didn't have to rely on a representative of the Catholic Church, their local priest, to read and interpret the Bible for them. Martin Luther nailed some stuff to a door. You generally know the rest. The Reformation is a story about the power of access to information. Hundreds of years later, our access to information has increased and increased and increased to the point that we have more at our fingertips than we could ever hope to consume in a lifetime. Christopher Partridge's argument is that religious belief is just as alive as it was in medieval Europe. Only instead of a church, the shape of modern religion is what he deems the cultic milieu, which includes the New Age movement, conspiracy theories, paganism, all of these kinds of decentralized, individualistic, eclectic movements. Who you are and what you believe is no longer determined by the religious community that you're born into. And we are all very aware of that with constant access to the internet. There are endless possibilities. We must all deliberately construct ourselves out of the information that we consume. We've developed this value today of being spiritual but not religious. Organized religion is therefore bad. It forces oppressive roles, whereas spirituality is this thing that is good. It's something that's private and personal. It's about personal growth, introspection, learning. Spiritual people are seen as open-minded, whereas religious people are seen as closed-minded and brainwashed. And that is because many people believe today that spiritual truth cannot come to you from any outside church, cannot be preached to you by any priest. It's something that you have to discover through your own personal, individual journey. Being born into a religion is oppression. Choosing your own religion is good. We live in a world of infinite free choice, and we have some kind of a moral obligation to use that choice, to choose and to tolerate other people's choices. Of course, that all coexists perfectly with capitalism. The spiritual self can also be a consumer who shops for and validates identity through owning items. The goals of modern spirituality are generally things along the lines of finding happiness, finding love, finding who you really are, being healthy, making money, rather than living in line with God's plan or else you go to hell. Suddenly the benefits that spirituality is pitching us are not so differently than the benefits that shampoo ads are pitching us. Buy this course, buy this book, buy this special crystal, maybe shove it in one of your orifices. Eat this diet, but first buy my course about this diet. Partridge writes, hence the popular jibe that New Age spirituality is supermarket spirituality. Individuals are encouraged to peruse and select from a bewildering array of spiritual products, from crop circles and dolphins to Buddhism and Celtic Christianity. For example, currently laying on my desk as I type these words is the Alternatives newsletter, Spring-Summer 2002, with a photograph of a crop circle on the cover. As I turn the pages, I am encouraged to attend a range of workshops and talks. For example, there are details of a session exploring the fundamental questions of life by the great-nephew of the 13th Dalai Lama, followed by Philip Glass playing the piano for 20 minutes. Again, I am invited to attend talks by psychic Natalie O'Sullivan on awaking your psychic powers, and Giho and Sarita, who encourage the use of Tantra to explore our own inner universe. If these are not to my taste, perhaps I should try a session with Donald Engstrom, an American witch who teaches spirit mapping, or a workshop with Sir J.K. Hill King, a shaman and healer in the Huna tradition who will introduce me to techniques I can use in my daily life, or even Ken Page, who offers guidance in the Third Eye of Horus Mystery School teachings. No impression is given that any one of these is more effective or more authoritative than the next. They are simply offered as useful paths to explore. Essentially, this is the heart of the New Age, the nomadic spiritual quest of the autonomous self. According to Partridge, it reduces the ascetic to the aesthetic. Scathing. Beliefs from all over the world are taken out of their original systematic theological contexts and have their original meaning diluted in order to serve personal whims and desires. Ayurvedic remedies are used to promote beauty products, feng shui becomes the latest trend in interior design, and ancient meditation techniques developed over many centuries can be learned in an hour. This was written in 2002, but I think that the shorter and more easily consumable online content becomes, the truer this becomes. This is the modern religious world that reality shifting is a product of, and Partridge stresses throughout his book that this does not necessarily make it a less meaningful form of belief than being part of a church. And I agree. I really do believe that humans will always find a way to make things sacred. I think that reality shifting very obviously is genuinely meaningful to a lot of people, despite the fact that it is often presented in a shallow way or used ironically for the creation of fan content. I told you my theory of like shifting is a fan fiction genre. You also seem to be of the belief that most popular shifting content on TikTok is essentially fan fiction, and that there's a separation between people who genuinely believe in it and people who are kind of putting on a bit of a show for content.
Yeah, so I wouldn't, I don't know if I would make the statement that everyone or like the majority of them are.
Okay.
But a lot of them.
Okay.
A lot of them
Okay.
are. I find that shifting itself, at least on TikTok, it's been commodified. And so you will find a lot of people selling the most ridiculous thing that I have seen, shifting oil.
Okay.
What is shifting oil?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So in a segment of this video, I am kind of comparing TikTok to a bit of like the 20th TikTok. I'm comparing shifting to like the 20th century New Age movement a little bit, and that like capitalism taken to its gaudiest extreme. Buy this book, buy this oil, eat this crystal. Like that's so funny that it's linked in that way.
Yeah, I saw it and I was like, this is the most outlandish, outrageous thing I've ever seen. And then there are people eating this up. They're like, oh, go get this like shifting reading on my Etsy page. For me, shifting is just like a personal spiritual journey. It did help me learn a lot about myself, and I did a lot of self-reflection, because when you're thinking about which reality you're going to, I would think about, wait, why am I going there? What's the reasoning behind me choosing this specific reality? Yeah, it was very, I don't know, it really did help me grow as a person. I consistently refer to shifting as grouped under the metaphysical, and so those are things that are like, you cannot quantify them really. It's kind of like trying to conceptualize and prove consciousness. You know, the world is a huge, big place, and there are things that we don't truly conceptualize, but that doesn't mean that they don't exist and they aren't very valid.
Some of the accounts that I've read of shifting, specifically of awake shifting methods, are very reminiscent to me of my own experience with maladaptive daydreaming. Do you think it is possible for some of the experiences that people are categorizing as shifting to be other things?
Oh yeah, 100%. Especially when they're coming and like I told you at one point, everybody and their mother was DMing me or messaging me for insight, and I'm not one to sugarcoat. There were a couple times where I unfortunately did have to break some hearts.
Yeah.
But and I did have to tell them, like, hey, no, you did not shift. That doesn't make any sense to what you're telling me, your, like, quote-unquote symptoms. For instance, like, some things they can't remember. They're like, what do you call it, blocks in their memory.
Yeah.
Or time was just a little bit weird. Time is not supposed to be weird when you're shifting.
Ultimately for me, like if people ask me personally, like, is shifting possible? Is shifting real? Like, I don't know. I have to say, like, I don't know. I don't know if I believe in the multiverse. I don't know if I believe in God. Like, I'm not a person who's done that spiritual introspection personally. Curious part of my brain is, of course, like, well, if you want to know, try it. Fuck around and try it. Find out. But I do think that given my history with maladaptive daydreaming being a very addictive behavior for me, that it's probably a very unhealthy idea for me, especially since I have my maladaptive daydreaming world that's been a part of me since I was 14 years old and is very important to me. I think if I could physically go there, it would be done for me. That would ruin my life. Like, I don't think that shifting would be a healthy thing for me personally. And I think there are other people as well, like people who are predisposed to psychosis or have a history with psychosis probably should not go messing with their sense of reality that way. Like, there are some people who I think it probably isn't right for, but that doesn't mean that we need to be criticizing this entire movement. Like, there are lots of people like yourself who are very logical about it and who have, you know, gained a lot of important insights and developed as people because of it. Like, it's a very positive thing for, I think, the majority of people who participate in it, is what I've learned. Anything has the potential to be taken to a dangerous extreme or to be wrong for some people, but that doesn't mean that it's bad.
A lot of the arguments that were posed against shifting is the threat or concern of escapism.
Yeah.
But as with everything, you read a book, are you not engaging in escapism? Everybody listens to music on their daily commute home. They'd have like little scenarios in their head, etc. There's nothing bad. Just don't take it to the extreme. If you do have questions on shifting, you can just reach out to me on Instagram. I'd be happy to help you. Or you can just comment on my actual videos, and yeah, I will get back to you. I usually do.
Amazing. Thank you so much
No problem.
for hanging out, starting the Nefarious Deeds podcast.
Oh, yes.
Yay. I don't think that believing in shifting is at all strange or dangerous given the contexts. I do believe that there are certain people out there, myself included, who shifting would probably be an unhealthy thing to get into. Another concern about it that I think is potentially valid is that, well, a lot of people, I think, learned about shifting through fandom, and, you know, their background is mainly in, like, nerdy fandom spaces. There is increasingly overlap between shifting spaces and kind of new age spirituality spaces. Of course, it's full of a lot of ideas that are really, really helpful for people, but it's also full of a lot of scams. It's full of people selling books and courses and butt crystals and preying on the insecure generally. This is not a roast of spirituality itself. It's absolutely not. It's the way that some people try and make money around it. It's very common online. It can be a very predatory online space. People who get into it through fandom and then through shifting might not necessarily be aware of that. That's another potential concern, I suppose. But just be careful, be smart. That's all. It feels so weird to finally be done this video. I've been working on this video in some capacity for I started reading for this video in like early December. I feel like I've been working on this video in like little chunks for 5 million years. Oh my god, it's done. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. We will definitely be chilling and doing something stupid in the next one. I'll see you then. Strange out.